Travis Etienne, Jacksonville Jaguars' new toy in the backfield to pair with Trevor Lawrence, former teammates being that. I'm excited. I like Travis Etienne so much. Right now, he's currently going like 4th, 5th round in mock drafts, which is right around the 55th pick, somewhere around there. Notable guys that are going in that range. We can play the game we did with Najee Harris. So you have Etienne or Mostert. Before we talk about him a little bit, Etienne or Mostert?
Mostert, easy.
Mostert because he got the spot.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco, you kind of want any piece of that backfield, knowing that, it's kind of like a hot pot potato, but whoever's playing any given week is going to have a great week. So, yeah, I like Mostert there too. Etienne or Gaskin, right? I think I'd go Gaskin as well.
Yeah. Easy Gaskin.
Yeah. So, and I think we're afraid of Etienne because, James Robinson came out last year as an undrafted rookie and just set the world on fire. Anybody who was able to pick him up in week 1 was really happy with his output. Now they do a head-scratching move, which in terms of what we think is head-scratching, it's really not. It's a great move by Jacksonville to find a former teammate, to invest a high draft capital in a guy like Etienne. Urban Meyer came out and said that he's really going to solidify their 3rd down role. I don't think that you go out and you spend a 1st-round pick to use a guy purely as a 3rd down guy. He even mentioned that, who was their pickup in the offseason? Carlos Hyde. Is also going to be in the mix. I hope that doesn't happen, but I can easily see a situation like – Alvin Kamara / Mark Ingram 2018, 2019, or 2018, where both of them were fantasy relevant. Etienne was catching the passes and Mark Ingram was hammering those touchdowns in on the goal line. So I'm excited. I don't want to tell you how excited I am yet, but I'm pretty excited. Justin, what are your thoughts?
I don't like that he landed there, obviously, but I want a piece of him because he has that star potential. I just worry because I want to think about, even in the most relevant scenario, PPR, who's the best 3rd down PPR halfback you want on their team? And then are you starting them every week? I don't think so. They're almost like, I'm thinking J.D. McKissick, Jamal Williams last year. I want to flex them in a deep play, but I don't want to start them every week. So I feel if James Robinson is the stud that we saw last year, then that's going to be Etienne's best role, which is good for a stash. But barring injury, what is he going to do for me?
Yeah, no, that's a great comp. Guys like Williams and the other guy that you mentioned, who's also important. I just forgot who you mentioned.
McKissick.
Yeah, thank you. Both had tremendous PPR value last year. I just think a guy like Etienne, like you just don't spend value on a guy like that and intend not to use him in some extreme way. Like then you could bring up the case of Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. So that kind of debunks my theory. But I think Jacksonville, they're going to have learning curves this year. I think they're going to be down in some, but not all games. And I think that leads to more time with Etienne on the field. And not only is he a pass catcher, which he's supposed to be great at, and I know he's great at, but he's a runner too. So I think he's kind of a jack of all trades, great at everything. And I'm excited for him, sad for James Robinson. But go ahead, Damon.
I said I personally wouldn't want, any of them just in terms of draft capital, because you draft for value. So if you say he's going around 4th or 5th, the only way I'd want him is if I didn't get any running backs in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
But most likely you're going to get at least 2 running backs in those first 4 picks. And then at that 4 or 5 pick, you want like a decent tight end or your wide receiver too. So I don't see spending a 4th round pick on this guy when you got somebody as good as James Robinson right there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I don't want to give too much of my great knowledge of fantasy football, just because I'm that good. But I will say, when you think about it, there's always, 25, 30 running backs that are viable for fantasy every season. Whereas, wide receivers, you can get well into the 40s and 50s with people that you can start week in and week out. So, yeah, grabbing running backs early is essential. But if you do have that zero type of running back style and you pick someone up later, I think Etienne is a fine grab. I think he finishes a year. Probably not too fantasy relevant, but I love him for Dynasty. We'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, Mostert, Gaskin, guys that are going around him right now, I think we all surefire agree that those guys are better in their situations, knowing that they kind of have cemented status in their roles. Whereas Etienne, we're still trying to figure it out. But if he does get a hold of that job, I think it's great. I think it's really, really great. Anything to touch us on, Travis Etienne?
No, that covers it.
We're moving on.